STS-76 will chalk up another first in space when Rich Clifford and Linda Godwin become the first Americans to conduct a spacewalk in close proximity to the Russian station. We do have live pictures of the flight crew. Got mission specialist Linda Godwin. She'll be one of the spacewalkers on this flight. Pilot Richard Searfoss. And Commander Kevin Chilton. Chilton will be guiding the shuttle Atlantis to a smooth docking. Mission Specialist Shannon Lucid getting ready to begin her stay on Mir. Mission Specialist Ron Sega. And Mission Specialist Rich Clifford, who's also serving as the flight engineer for the mission and will be performing the spacewalk. And the crew waving for the camera. We've got about 30 minutes remaining in this built-in hold at the T-minus 3-hour mark. T-minus 3 hours in holding. This is a planned built-in hold, all continuing to go well as we count down to the launch of STS-76 with the Space Shuttle Atlantis. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 3 hours in holding. We're standing by to get live coverage of the STS-76 astronauts as they get into their launch and entry suits. And we do have coverage. We've got Commander Kevin Chilton making his third flight today. Just completed the weather briefing with flight directors in Houston and the weather coordinators there. Going through the traditional suit up, being assisted with the bulky suit. Chilton will be the third, will dock with the Russian Space Station, the third to do that. Got pilot Richard Searfoss making his second flight. He's known as the rendezvous expert and will be responsible for the undocking of the Mir station and the subsequent fly around. Searfoss will be assisting Chilton at the flight controls in the crew cabin of Atlantis. Mission Specialist Ron Sega. He's the payload commander for this mission, making his second flight. He's very familiar with the United States-Russian cooperative space effort, having spent several months in Russia serving as NASA's operations director at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center in Star City, just outside of Moscow. Across the room, the rest of the crew members are getting assisted with equipment they'll be taking aboard. Mission Specialist Shannon Lucid. She's got flying for the fifth time today. It's the first American woman to be launched aboard the Mir station. She'll be staying aboard the Mir for 4.5 months. As soon as she arrives on the Mir station, she will become part of that team. She'll be staying on Mir for about 143 days until August, conducting long-duration space research. Mission Specialist Rich Clifford. He's also serving as the flight engineer and will be one of the crew members to make a spacewalk. The spacewalk will occur on flight day 6. He's also going to be responsible for the space vision system and will be helping transfer supplies and equipment over to the Mir station. Also, he'll be assisting the commander and pilot with ascent and reentry checklists and in monitoring vehicle systems as the flight engineer. Mission Specialist Godwin, she's making her third flight today. She's going to join Rich Clifford in the spacewalk on flight day 6, where they'll be attaching 4 experiments to the Mir docking module. She'll also be involved in the unique KidSat payload and the SAR-X experiment, flying again with him, involving the amateur radio operation from the shuttle. And also she'll be involved with the biorack experiments in the Space Hab. Commander Kevin Chilton ready to go this morning. And here we have the crew coming out.
Let's go for first sequence 4.
A profile test of the orbiter aero surfaces has started. The flight control surfaces are being moved through a pre-programmed pattern to verify they are ready for launch. Next, the main engines will be gimbaled and positioned for launch.
Clear caution and warning memory, verifying no unexpected errors. That's a look.
The gaseous oxygen vent hood is being retracted away from the top of the external tank. Coming up on
CPS. Go ahead, PLT. Caution warning memory clear is complete, no unexpected errors. Copy that, then. Flight crew, OT3, close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow. And it's just about time for the Spirit of 76 to wake up the Space Coast, so have a great flight. Yeah, let's go for... We'll put that in work. Thanks very much. Yeah, let's go for ET, LH2, Pacific.
6-member crew is about to embark on the first day of the 9-day flight, beginning of Shannon Lucid's 4.5-month stay aboard the Mir Space Station. Got a 6-hour spacewalk. This marks the 3rd flight of the shuttle to the Mir link-up. From now through 1998, there will be an American astronaut aboard the Mir Space Station.
Image for contact. Okay, just looking the person.
1 minute.
Less than 1 minute away now from the launch of Atlantis. Atlantis will be launched on a northerly trajectory, inclined 51.6 degrees to the equator. T-minus 40 seconds. This marks the 13th night launch in the history of the shuttle program.
Yeah, let's go for auto sequence start.
Atlantis' onboard computers have control of vehicle functions. T-minus 20 seconds. Thousands of gallons of water will be dumped on the launch platform to help absorb the shock of the 7 million pounds of thrust. 9. We have a go for engine start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Booster ignition and liftoff of Atlantis on the 3rd shuttle Mir docking flight.
Roll programming. Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Mission Control sees a good maneuver placing Atlantis on the proper heading. Pretty good engine. Engines are throttling back now, helping to ease the buildup of aerodynamic loads on the vehicle as Atlantis continues to accelerate rapidly through the dense lower altitudes, traveling now over 650 miles per hour. Time 48 seconds. All systems are performing well. Atlantis is now easing through the period of maximum dynamic pressure. And the engines are throttling back up.
Atlantis, go at throttle up. Go at throttle up.
All engines are now running at full throttle. All systems are performing well. Altitude is now 62,000 feet. Atlantis is traveling over 1,000 miles per hour. Atlantis continues to climb at a relatively steep angle at this point, relying heavily on the solid rocket boosters to triple its rate of speed over the next 60 seconds. Delivering a combined 6.5 million pounds of thrust, the boosters will burn out and separate at 2 minutes 6 seconds. Time now 1 minute 52 seconds. Solid rocket booster chamber pressure is beginning to tail off, signaling the burnout of the twin boosters. Mission Control sees a good separation. Atlantis is now flying free, powered by its own main engines. Second stage guidance is now in effect. Altitude now 178,000 feet. Downrange distance 38 miles.
Atlantis, performance nominal. Atlantis, 2-engine tail.
With 3 engines burning at 104% rated thrusts, the boosters have done their job as designed, the main engines as well, and Atlantis can now cross the Atlantic with only 2 engines should one fail. Again, all engines are performing well. Altitude is now 230,000 feet, downrange distance 58 nautical miles. Atlantis is traveling over 3,200 miles per hour. At 3 minutes 5 seconds, Atlantis' flight path is already beginning to level out a bit, lightening its load as propellant burns off and continuing its rapid acceleration. All systems are continuing to perform very well. Time now 3 minutes 19 seconds.
Let's go for auto sequence start. 25. 20. 15. 10. Okay, let's just go for main engine start.
All vents open.
SRB ignition.
Liftoff confirmed.
Roll program, Houston.
Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Flight guidance, see a good roll.
Final flight, we got cold SRBs.
That's firm flight, about 1.5 sigma.
1.5?
Yes, sir.
Throttle up, 3 at 104.
And go at throttle up.
Atlantis, go at throttle up.
Go at throttle up.
Flight guidance.
Go ahead.
Single engine press 104.
Atlantis, single engine press 104.
About 1.5 minutes to MECO at 833. Navis go.
Thank you.
Все правильно, спасибо. 8 часов включается.
Да.
Как в 8 утра?
Утра, потому что в 8 вечера включили. 12 часов одна сторона записи.
Здрасте, а спать кто за вас будет?
Не понял.
А спать кто за вас будет?
Да мы только встали, ты же спать.
Не, ребята, это вы бросьте. Тут режим труда и отдыха, знаете какой у нас?
Во сколько у нас отбой, Вась? Посмотри, пожалуйста.
Отбой у вас в 7 утра.
7 утра?
Да.
Спасибо.
Поэтому очередной сеанс. Вы уж, пожалуйста...
Feet closing 0.08. Okay, I show 0.08 also. And I show 8 feet also.
Good. Good comparison.
Go for contact conditions for 0.1, Chili. We're a little on the slow side. We're at 0.08.
7 feet.
0.08. 8 seconds early. Was that a BDAP in, Chili?
No.
Okay.
Give me data.
I show you 0.08. closure. 0.08 closure.
6 feet, 0.08.
Three seconds early.
5 feet, 0.08.
Concur. I show 0.07 now, Chile. Okay, BDAP in.
4 feet.
Raw data's picked it up, showing 0.11.
Three feet, 0.1.
2 seconds early. .10 on the rate.
2 feet, 0.1.
Okay, hold what you got. It's sweet. 0.10, 0.10.
I agree. 1 foot out the window.
1 second early.
That's 6 inches. 2 inches. See contact.
Contact.
Capture.
Yes,
I see a
Castanio.
capture. Disarm PCT. You confirm capture? Capture is confirmed.
Yes, I'm 5.
PCT disarmed. Flight controller power off.
Free drift.
Okay, you're in free drift.
And we've confirmed contact and capture.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable, Chile.
Great, incredible, awesome.
Sweet.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Damping's on, Rich.
Pedal position base.
Flight rendezvous.
Good rendezvous.
Yes, sir. At their current RDAT, it looks like they'll get into station keeping in about 6 minutes, so that'll give them about 8 minutes of station keeping.
Okay.
Latest laser mark 290, closing at decimal 3.
290 at decimal 3. Thank you.
Flight GC.
Go ahead.
Okay, we went to manual key here, so they should be able to talk. We'll just keep manual key.
Rio flight.
Yes, flight.
We're manually keying. We'd like Moscow to try
Okay.
call to Mir.
Okay, stand by. Hey, Rio.
Go.
Mr. Lovioff is ready for the docking conference,
Okay.
and he's right there, and he just gave you a go, so you might respond on loop 1.
Flight GNC, PCT is disarmed and flight control powers off.
Contact and capture.
Copy. Copy contact, capture, and we confirm Mir free drift.
Copy that.
Flight Rio, free drift.
Atlantis, Houston, your go for shuttle ODS hatch opening for Delta P under point 2.
Okay, we're opening the hatch.
And we have a good image of you, Chili. The two of you look great. Chili, it looks like they're welcoming you aboard.
This is a view coming down out of the airlock and taking a turn at the ODS, and now we're entering the docking adapter and heading over to the Mir Space Station. As you can see throughout this entire tour, it gets pretty crowded in the passageways there. Most of these bags are filled with transfer items going one way or the other. Here Ron and Yuri Yusuchev are working some of those transfers. And I couldn't resist the urge at a few spots in here to do a few aileron rolls on the way.
You always do them in the airplane. You might as well do them here.
That's right. A few less G's than we pull fly in that Eagle, though, right?
Roger that.
Our transit route today on this tour starts with the docking adapter, and then on our way to the node, we are transiting through the Crystal module. Notice the ducting on the way is air ducting for the Mir's requirements. The big cable that we're going to see all the way into the base block is for the BIPSMU that sends audio through the orbiter system. We have a camera hooked up in there. Very shortly here, we're going to get to the node and take a turn. And I believe I went into Spectre next. We'll see when we get going here.
Well, finally, space vehicles are big enough to get a little lost in, huh, Rick?
Yeah, that's for sure. We'll see that graphically illustrated here in a little bit when we come back to the node. This is inside the Spectre module, which will be basically Shannon's home for the next several months. She'll be conducting her experiments in here, and this is actually quite a roomy module, and it's perhaps because it's not as full of the transfer items and other equipment as some of the other modules are. But it's starting to get that way. Had to do a U-turn down at the end here because there's no connection back. It's everything, as you know, is plugged in to the central node. You have the Spectre module, the crystal module leading into it, and then, of course, the base block on the other side. This is transit back out of the Spectre into the node, and from here, should be going into the Command 2 module after that quick aileron roll. It's about a T-38 roll rate there, I believe.
Looked about right.
And this is the Command 2 module. Right at the in the center of the field of view is one of the gyrodynes. We transferred one of those yesterday as one of our first transfer items, a new refurbished gyrodyne to the Mir, and then we're taking back an old one for refurbishment and then subsequent resupply. It points out a great capability that our shuttle has in taking down mass from Earth orbit back down to the Earth, and in applications such as Space Station or working with our partners on board Mir.
Copy.
Getting just about to the end of the Command 2 module. And the metal containers are Russian water containers, and the white bags are our CWC bags that we've been transferring over, filling them up out of the shuttle's fuel cell water that's produced and taking it over to Mir. I think, if I'm correct, we're about half through with that water transfer and fill operations right now.
About right.
Back out of Command 2. Into basically the cosmonauts' living quarters next as we go into the base block, the headquarters, if you will, of the Mir Space Station. And this little spinning is just to graphically illustrate the point that you can get lost in this space station, and you have to keep yourself oriented. And when you get to the node, stop and take a second and figure out which way you're really going. You get used to it, though, after one or two transits, and it really isn't too bad to do. Here, Yuri Franco and Chile and Shannon are discussing some of the transfer operations. Chile and Yuri are holding one of the joint documents that we use to work together. Yuri Yusuchev, in the background by the table, is doing some prep for some transfer items back from the Mir to the shuttle. From here, we're going to proceed into the Command 1 module, and at the end of that is the Soyuz, and we'll get all the way down to the end picture here, and I poked the camera in board on the Soyuz capsule, and we'll see that shortly.
Rick, it looks like you have a little pulley system to move along with.
Yeah, that's true, Dave. They've got the Russians use lots of bungees, both for hold downs and for pulling yourself along, and they're quite handy for translating. As you can see, I remarked to one of the other crew members earlier today that moving around Mir is kind of like being a spelunker exploring caves. A lot of long, narrow passageways for transit. Here are the Russian suits inside the Soyuz, and not only all three, of course, are Russian equipment, but Shannon's suit is in there. It was checked out yesterday, and she's fully and officially a member of the Mir 21 crew now. Quick turnaround out of Soyuz and Russian back. At this point, I was beginning to worry about the battery on my compact portable light, so I kind of speeded the rate up a little bit here.
We certainly hope not to use those Soyuz modules, but it's nice to know they're there should it become necessary.
But this, we just went by one of the little living spaces. Both Yuris have their own individual compartment for sleep, and it's a very nice opportunity for them to have some privacy during the course of their long stays on board Mir. Yeah, we're approaching the node here shortly, and then we'll be taking the pathway back to the space shuttle. we go. We found the right one, and we're on the way. Here we're just about ready to enter the docking module. And if you notice in the lower center part of the field of view, you see a target similar to the, well, it is the exact docking target that Chile used to dock yesterday. And we'll play ODS centerline camera here for just a minute and do our own little docking maneuver.
Copy that, Rick, and we have to use that thing quite a few more times, so let's be careful with it.
You bet. Notice didn't even touch it. We just took the video camera down to it. Back into the shuttle ODS, where Chile is doing some work. And from here, we're going to take a turn aft to the space hab, as Ron is taking some transfer items out of the space hab tunnel into the Mir.
I guess I'd like to begin by saying this is kind of a bittersweet moment for us, and one also filled with a lot of satisfaction. We've had a wonderful time on the Mir Atlantis complex here, and it started off just fantastic with the warmest welcome anyone can imagine from Yuri Adin and Yuri Deva. and it just has gone uphill from there with a great working relationship between the two crews, and certainly the sense of satisfaction that we feel for having got the job done is tremendous. And Ron Sega, who is my payload commander, has been sweating the transfer both to and from Mir from the shuttle perspective. And Yuri and Yuri have been working real hard on the Mir side, and it's been a great team effort, and I think we're there. That's the satisfaction part. Truly the sad part will be to bid farewell to Shannon and Yuri and Yuri. This is a tremendous team. We're going to miss them. We know we'll see Shannon again when she comes back on STS 79, but there's a big ocean between Russia and America, and we're not all so confident or sure or certain, I should say, that we'll ever see our two friends Yuri and Yuri again. In person. And with that, Houston, we'll bid the formal farewell. And I'd like to extend my thanks to Soup in Moscow for their great support, and to all the teams at the MCC. Yeah?
Я знаю, что Кевин сказал очень хорошие слова. Это действительно была очень напряженная работа. Приходилось работать не 5 дней, 5 суток, но, тем не менее, режим соблюдался. Все грузы, которые необходимы было, были перенесены. Остались несколько кабелей, но это по сравнению со всей совместной программой, это, естественно, мелочи. Легко было работать, как говорил один наш общий знакомый, с такой командой, как STS-76. Пролетели очень быстро эти 5 дней. Сейчас просто не верится, что буквально сегодня, вот через несколько минут мы улетим в этом направлении. Вперед дальше экипаж STS-76 повернет по модулю Т, пройдет через СО. Дальше мы попрощаемся, закроем дверь, и Юрий закроет дверь, которая здесь называется люком. Мы будем наблюдать друг за другом дальше только через иллюминатор. Они будут смотреть на нас, мы на них. А завтра будет расстыковка. Ну, естественно, грустно расставаться с такой хорошей командой. Я хочу сказать большое спасибо. Мы очень хорошо поработали. Всем большое спасибо, ребята. Я думаю, Юра добавит свои пожелания.
Atlantis, Houston, no action on the Spec 88 evaporator feed line message. EV1, Houston.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, Linda, and we see that cable cutter at the end of the tether doing some motion also. We suggest that you take the tether that's on your wrist, the wrist end, and move that to your mini workstation, particularly before you start translating down the sills. And Rich, it just looks spectacular out there doing a spacewalk on the Atlantis Mir Space Complex. Absolutely beautiful.
Thanks, Dave. We're having a good time. It's pretty neat out here. Hey, what are we going over down here below us? Looks like a rodeo. Ah, thank you. Hey. All yours. Where are you, Linda? Pardon? Where are you? I'm just up by the meat clamps. Okay.
Okay, that looks great. Looks great.
Yeah, left wrist tether, Rich. It's really swinging around. I'll watch it. Right there. See? Okay.
Yeah, the left tether is moving along here, Rich, on your left wrist.
Включаем 8 вечера. Синхронизация была. Да. Похоже, вы не отключили ретрансляцию КВ-2. Отключите пока, пожалуйста. Сейчас, секундочку. Какая команда? Напомните, пожалуйста, ретрансляцию КВ-2.
Юра, посмотри. Вот запиши, пожалуйста, еще вот себе такое вот наше, на всякий случай, указание, потому что, чтобы, в общем-то, вы уточнили у своих коллег и потом кое-что сделали. Готов?
Да, готовы.
Значит, у нас в 15:43 средствами шаттла будет разворот. Должен пойти разворот.
Сейчас пока кабель затянем. Дальше, пусть пока пройдет. Вот пока мы тут монтируем, вот по инкубатору это была информация. Принимаете нас, слышите?
Да, слышим.
Ну вот живая работа.
Видим хорошо.
Все-таки кронштейн-то русский наш. И вам его не снимать, вот Виктор Ильич говорит.
Да.
Hey, but don't go that down.
Now we're inside the space hab. That's the gyrodyne that we're returning to Earth that was on board Mir. It's all stowed and buttoned down, ready for re-entry. And as we come aboard the space hab, I'm going to cut to some live TV of Ron, who's working in there, and he's going to take over the narrative describing some of his biorack operations.
So we can take downlink to payload 1 now.
Hello, Linda and I are in the Space Hab, which you probably saw from the view that's past the docking module in the aft part of the payload bay of the shuttle, connected by a tunnel. And we have two main activities in the Space Hab. One is the transfer of equipment, and we have it stored in bags such as this, and we remove it and take it to Mir. And we also return items from Russia, in this case from the Russian space station. In this case it's empty food containers. So the number of items that we have include food, clothing, water, and science equipment for Shannon to enable her to do the long duration studies that will take place over the next roughly 140 days. This is going to be important for us in working toward the International Space Station to get more experience of long duration flight and work, as well as technology development of our equipment that we will eventually fly on the space station, as well as beginning to increase our database in the long duration studies of science. Now, we have one example of that here in the Space Hab. It's called BioRack. It's behind Linda and I, and it has flown 3 times before. It's a mini biology laboratory built by the European Space Agency. It's flown 3 times on the shuttle, STS Mission 61A, the International Microgravity Laboratory 1 and 2, and now, of course, on our flight.
Yes, sir, that's affirmative. Also, there is one little delta to your message. The actual NBC show is called Night Side versus News Channel.
Okay, thanks.
We copy, Chile.
Houston, Atlantis, we've completed docking ring extension. The ring initial position light came on with tunnel position base at 69, 72, and 69.
And thanks, Rich. Those numbers all look good to us, and we think that 72 really reflects a bias, and it also is actually at 69%.
Okay, that's what we heard pre-flight. Thanks a lot.
Houston, Atlantis, com check from the middeck on air to ground 2.
Atlantis, Houston, loud and clear on air to ground 2.
Physical separation.
Copy, physical separation.
Executing separation.
Concur. We have a spectacular view of the Mir Space Station over the South Pacific.
soon to reach 2.5 times the speed of sound, at which point pilot Rick Searfoss will fire up auxiliary power unit number 3.